Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Gainesville. My name is Jeff Stevens, and I will be serving as your worship associate for this Sunday. I am a six foot tall white cis male with salt and pepper hair and an ever-growing beard. Last week someone said I should join an Ernest Hemingway look-alike contest. I am wearing an orange shirt and gray slacks and a cream cable knit sweater with one of our 2026 Stewardship Warp Drive pens. If you are a visitor, we welcome you to stop by our welcome table after service. Look for the table with the green tablecloth in the Phillips Social Hall. Our welcome team would love to tell you more about Unitarian Universalism and our congregation. We welcome everyone that has joined us here today, both here in our sanctuary and online, from their homes, from Lake City, Palatka, Lake City, and farther. Let our ever-widening circle of community reassure you that you never have to go it alone. And now, I invite you to center yourself in this space. As you are comfortable, take the hand of the person sitting next to you. Take a deep breath. Inhale, and then exhale. Let the troubles of this world fall away as we focus on this space and on our sacred community. Come, let us worship together. Kindling the chalice flame for us this morning is Stephen Pedejo. Our opening words come from the poet Amanda Gorman. There is always light if only we're brave enough to see it. If only we're brave enough to see it.
Test. Can you hear me? Test. Awesome. Imla vavi asi ha. Imla vavi asi ha. Imla vavi asi ha. Vayakapes ruhi. With my heart I meditate, and with my spirit search. I hope you will forgive my imperfect singing and pronunciation of the Hebrew meditative chant by Rabbi Shefa Gold, which is a meditation on Psalm 77. There's going to be a lot of imperfect Hebrew, but Rick Buncher says I'm okay. Zaman Cheruteinu, welcome. Passover is the season of our freedom. Zaman also means invitation. Today we invite you to meditate on what it means to be enslaved. We invite you to meditate on what it means to be liberated. We invite you to meditate on what it takes to maintain and preserve our freedom. And we invite you to meditate on what we all must do to liberate ourselves and each other. Imla vavi asi ha. Imla vavi asi ha. Imla vavi asi ha. Vayakapes ruhi. Today, as we explore Pesach, let our hearts meditate and our spirits search for freedom.
Now please join us as embody in spirit, as you are willing and able, in singing hymn number 104 in our gray hymnal, When Israel Was in Egypt Land. We will sing verses 1 through 3.
for one last entry into the Book of Joys and Sorrows.
It's hot off the press. Each week, we invite everyone to share the joys and sorrows that are in their heart in our Joys and Sorrows book, which sits at the entrance to our sanctuary. We believe that a joy shared is multiplied and that a sorrow shared is divided. And that is the meaning of beloved community. We'd like to welcome our visitors here today. Carla is one of our visitors. Also, Nicole is one of our visitors. Hi, Nicole. I'm sorry, I put you on the spot. Welcome. We're so glad that you're here with us today. Harry Mangle has a very, very personal joy that he wants to share. I'm going to give him the mic for just a second.
That's always dangerous. Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a two-part to share. It's short. But first, I'd like Elizabeth Stewart and Marilyn Roberts to please stand up. The first part of my share is that the Fellowship Council is allowing me to chair this year's rummage sale, giving me the joy to serve this congregation. Second, that I will be sharing this responsibility with two amazing co-chairs who've chaired previous sales. And actually, they're telling me what to do, so it's safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. Jane shares that today he's wearing a t-shirt that reads, "In memory of the 58,479 brothers and sisters who never returned from Vietnam." James shares, "I was so proud of my Lake City community. We had about 100 people yesterday at the No Kings protest, which for Lake City is amazing." Anonymous writes, "I feel so proud of myself. I rode the Geronimo ride at Wild Adventures yesterday and feel like I really can do scary, hard things." Judy Altman shares, "Thank you to all the volunteers who came together in community to help at Food for Kids. There were 18 of us there, and we packed 210 bags of food." And Lilu shares, "Medical bills plus trying to save to visit my partner across the world is not a fun equation, although I feel so lucky to have them." There are, of course, many joys and concerns that we continue to hold in our hearts silently. We hope that you will come forward at this time to our communal water bowl and drop a stone into the water to represent those that you are thinking about in the world beyond and who you are holding in your hearts and carrying with you. At the end of the dropping of the stones, Marilyn Roberts from the care team will drop 2 stones into the bowl to represent the people that are joining us online.
Good morning. My name is James Chase, and I am the Director of Lifespan Faith Development here at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Gainesville. I'm a white, medium-sized person with short brown hair, glasses, a button-up shirt, which is a light kind of sagey green. I guess it's more of a foresty green. And today I'm wearing gray slacks. I always wear glasses, and I am openly transgender, non-binary. As the Director of Lifespan Faith Formation, I get to do a lot of really fun things here. I get to help with programming for the children and youth. I get to volunteer with the youth group. Our youth group we have junior and senior youth. Our junior youth are 10 to 13-year-old, and our senior youth are 14 to 18. Both groups meet twice monthly, and they are full of some of the best kids I have known in my life, and I've known a lot of kids in my life. Right now, our junior youth are working to plan a wild adventure field trip for May, and our senior youth are talking about wanting to do a lock-in sometime in the next couple of months. They meet and they talk, and they're building their own little beloved communities, which is such a gift to see in this community. And that's something that happens kind of in the background, where you might not know about it in service. If you don't have kids in youth group or in our youth programming, you might just not know. Another fun thing that is coming up is we have our Easter celebration next week. And you will know about that because we are bringing our children's programming into service. There will be an in-service Easter egg hunt for our little ones. And in that situation, you're going to have some exposure to children. It's going to happen, and I just want to give like that kind of content warning in advance because they will probably come close to you, and it's a wonderful thing, but some folks like to have a little bit of notice about that. There will also be Easter egg hunts after service, and that will be for all of the children and youth in our program. There will be Easter egg hunts for our older teenagers, which I've heard will be quite difficult. And then after that, after service, there will be activities that all ages are welcome to. Come join us for tie-dyeing, for celebration in the play yard as we celebrate Easter. And now I'm done with my announcements. Thank you for taking the time on that. And I'd like to read a story for this Passover Sunday. This is one of my favorite stories, and I'd like to encourage our children and youth and all of our adults to enjoy the beautiful pictures. This book is called Miriam at the River. It's written by Jane Yola, and it's illustrated by Koa Le. Miriam at the River. I creep to the riverside in the soft dark of night's end. In a woven basket lies my little brother, so young that he does not yet have a name. He sleeps, and in his dreams his legs and arms move as if he is swimming. I am afraid and not afraid. I am only 7 years old, and we are slaves in Egypt. And if in Egypt, Pharaoh's words and Pharaoh's laws must be obeyed, even the wicked ones. But God's law is what I follow, and God's voice is the one I hear, even when others do not listen to what God has to say. We go to the Nile before the sun rises, for now it is just a red line spilling along the horizon. I look up the water and down, then to the hiding place I have chosen. Sage, bulrush, papyrus, reeds, and I need to hide my brother from the Pharaoh's men and hide me from prying Egyptian eyes. I say a quick blessing over him, for he is so small, so much at risk. I give him a big sister's kiss. Once again, I look around, and then I place the basket into the river, near the bending reeds. The basket is heavy, and I am small. I pretend I am simply a child, playing by the waterside, but under my robe, my heart beats so loudly I am certain that anyone nearby could hear. One quick push, and the basket sails towards the middle of the reeds, where the water is coolest. My mother has woven the basket so tightly so it does not sink, but skips over the little schools of fish, glossy as silver bangles. Then the sun comes out and the bangles turn the color of Pharaoh's jewels. The basket skims past a yellow-billed stork who stands with angel wings held high, past an ibis dipping its long beak into the water, so very like a scribe's pen in ink. Past a hippopotamus, wallowing in the small tide of the basket's passing. The Nile's waters ripple, then part on either side of the basket. Suddenly, in my mind, I see another water parting, fiercer, higher, a great wall of it. What water is this, I wonder, for surely it is not the Nile. I could ask God for an answer, though often God's answers are not clear. Father says prophecy is a cloudy glass, a muddy river, a curtain only pulled a bit aside. But I do ask God anyway. Like a soft breeze that comforts in the middle of an Egyptian summer, God whispers in my ear, "Your little brother is in my care till he is ready to come home." But where is home, I wonder? Then, taking a deep breath, I accept that answer, leaving my brother to be rocked in the river's arms. Then I whisk my footprints away so there can be no blame. Sometimes courage comes from what you do, and sometimes courage comes from what you do not do. Now I hide near a palm tree, sitting on my heels to wait. All that I have dreamed, all that I have seen in my mind's eye, depends now on the Pharaoh's daughter. I hope that she is not too late. There are crocodiles in the river. There is fate. But then here she comes, a young woman to bathe in the waters of the Nile. She is tall, slim, dark, beautiful, and she has no child of her own. She will hear a baby's cry. She will draw him from the river. She will be a mother to a slave who will capture her heart until the time comes for another water to part. She commands her handmaiden to pull the basket from the reeds, and she picks up the baby out of his water cradle. "I shall call him Moses," she tells her servants, "for he was drawn from the water." I sneak away, quiet as a whisper. That is the story I will tell my parents, and with it, for now, we shall have to be content until someday all the world may know my brother's name. And I want to share briefly where this story comes from. In the biblical story of Exodus and in later tales from the Midrash, we learn about Miriam the prophet. We first meet 7-year-old Miriam with her infant brother at the Nile River. It is the first of 3 of the most important times of her life. Each time after this, Miriam will lend him her courage and her strength and her gift of prophecy when his own are not enough. Each time, water is involved. First, as a child herself, she hides him in a basket that floats down the Nile until Pharaoh's daughter draws him out, names him Moses, and brings him to the palace as her own. Moses' birth mother becomes his nursemaid. Second, Moses grows up as an Egyptian prince. He makes his way to Midian, where he marries and has sons. He hears God, sorry, my tablet is misbehaving, ordering him from a burning bush to return to Egypt. Miriam greets him on his return, and with him leads the Jews from Egypt. As they flee from soldiers and chariots, they come to the Red Sea, which parts. That great wall of water Miriam had seen in her prophecy. Once the Hebrews are across, the waters quickly close. The third time, forced to wander for 40 years in the desert, where Moses brings the stone tablets with the 10 Commandments down from the mountaintop. God sends down manna, a food for them all to eat, and provides a rock from which water gushes, Miriam's well. 3 waters, the Nile River, the Red Sea, and the well that follows Miriam, giving water at her command. This story of the Jewish people starts with the brave little girl and her infant brother at the river. The end. Now we're going to sing our kids out to the playground where they're going to learn a little bit more about the story of the Passover.
Our reading today is adapted from Your Guide to the Jewish Holidays by Cantor Max Axelrod. During the Seder, we recite, "In every generation, a person is obligated to regard her or himself as if she or he personally made the exodus from Egypt." That's a lot different from instructing us to remember that our ancestors made the exodus. For the duration of this holiday, maybe even for just one short time during the Seder, we consider ourselves slaves who are liberated. The miracle of the Exodus and the privileges of being free are not something we simply acknowledge that happened at one time. Rather, we celebrate our own freedom as a constant and perpetual gift. During Passover, Jewish tradition calls for people to be more kind and to be more generous. Kimcha, I did not say that right. Kimcha, there we go. Ha, kimcha, pedischa, which means flour for Pesach, is a custom where families set aside flour for the neediest families so all can celebrate the holiday. The Haggadah says, "Whoever is hungry, come and eat. Whoever is needy, come and celebrate Passover." Our fellowship welcomes everyone. We are a place where all faiths, or no faith, can come together to search for what is divine and what is true for each and every one of us. We invite anyone who is hungry to come and eat. Nourish your soul, nourish your conscience and self, nourish your sense of belonging and place in this world. Your contributions of your time and your money help to keep this sanctuary and its community a beacon, a light to guide, if we are brave enough to see it. When Star Trek first visited the world of Vulcan, Leonard Nimoy introduced the Vulcan salute. He was inspired by a priestly blessing that he had seen as a child when he visited an Orthodox Jewish synagogue. The salute on the show was paired with the phrase, "Live long and prosper," to which people would respond, "Peace and long life." Our stewardship campaign compels us towards making sure that this fellowship lives long and prospers. I'm pleased to report that to date, we are a little over halfway to our funding goals for the upcoming year. Of the pledges that we have received so far, about half of them have increased their pledges from the previous year. Thank you to everyone who has pledged, and especially to those who have increased their pledge. We have about 48 people left that pledged last year that have not yet pledged for this year. Those 48 pledges last year roughly totaled around 117,000. For our goal to be met this year, we're aiming for around 150,000 for that group. We strongly encourage you to help submit a pledge as soon as you can. If you need a pledge card right now during the offertory, if you'll raise your hand, the ushers will bring you one. We'll also have pledge cards waiting outside at the table as you leave the sanctuary. You can fill out that pledge card today, or you can call the fellowship office at any time to submit a pledge. If you are new to the fellowship or did not pledge last year, we hope that you will make a pledge this year to help us provide the staff, the facilities, and programs that make UUFG such a special place. And if you wish to give online, please use the QR codes that you see on the screens behind me. Your generous gifts are gratefully received. Live long and prosper.
Can you hear me? Good morning. I'm Sheila Bishop. I'm a mid-sized, middle-aged white person with kind of a jaunty bob right now that's not behaving. I'm wearing a spring-like dress with horizontal stripes that have all kinds of colors in them, and a white sweater with pink and I think dark blue, maybe black trim. You will almost never see me in this outfit because I can always get ink and stains on anything with lots of white in it, but I wore it today for y'all. Because Rick Buncher has agreed to explain a bit about Elijah and Elijah's cup and the song Eliyahu Hanavi, which we'll sing together during the closing, I'm going to continue my tradition of giving a sermonette instead of a sermon. I also will tell you from teaching public speaking that the current trends in public speaking are that audiences prefer shorter, crisper speeches than longer, like 20, 25-minute ones. So that's the other reason. Yes, exactly. I want to lead by example. I am also wearing my warp drive pen because I believe in speaking my truth so that other people will also feel welcome. I had to decrease my pledge from last year to this year because I don't know what my job's going to be in the fall. So one of the things is if you're in a position like that where you cannot give as much, what you can give still matters, right? Because you can always increase when fortune comes back. So I just want to put that out there in case you're in a similar place as I. Make your donation, make your pledge. Even if it's less, all will help. Okay. So this will not be an in-depth examination or explanation of Pesach, otherwise known as Passover, Haggadah, or the Seder. But I will tell you that the word Seder means order. What I'm going to do is pull out moments from a Haggadah that I wrote in 1999 when I was really enmeshed in Jewish practice and ritual for a Seder that I hosted. And because I cannot resist tinkering, I've added a few new things as well. The Haggadah that I wrote was influenced by feminist, reconstructionist, and renewal Jewish theology. I used bits of the Mayan Passover Haggadah, as well as blessings written by Marcia Falk, and bits of Elie Wiesel's Haggadah. But I didn't make note at the time of where I got the various little bits and pieces. So this is going to serve as my all-purpose oral citation for the fact that many of the words I'm going to say were not mine originally. I also brought in bits of Buddhist meditation and some English and Spanish poetry. Perhaps that was an early sign of my UU tendencies. Sometimes in this sermonette, I'm going to give a bit of background about a particular ritual moment. Other times, I'll just perform the part of that ritual. I'm not going to try to tell the story of Exodus today. Instead, I encourage all of you, if you're invited, to attend a Seder, to participate in the ritual, to hear the full story. Today, I do not want to over-explain. I want to leave space for y'all to meditate on how these rituals allow us to feel the themes of Passover, which are bondage, escape, and freedom. Today, we're going to explore 5 steps towards freedom by looking at 5 different elements of the Seder. In the opening today, I imperfectly sang and pronounced Imla Vavi Asi Ha, Rabbi Shefa Gold's meditative chant for Psalm 77. It's important to note that the Seder isn't generally held in a synagogue. It's held in people's homes, and people may imperfectly sing and chant and say Hebrew. And so our imperfect celebrations are an important part of this home-based ritual. While most Haggadah probably don't include Rabbi Gold's chant, there generally is a lot of singing and chanting and reciting during a Seder. The attendees chant so many Baruch Atah blessings over bread and wine and matzah and maror and even more. And they sing, Dai Dayenu, Dai Dayenu, Dai Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. Some of y'all know. It goes on forever. And they sing Eliyahu Hanavi, but I'll save that tune for Rick's little sermonette within my sermonette. During a Seder, we use our voices. For me, this relates to one of the themes, which is that the enslaved Israelites called out to their God, and that their eventual freedom was not just because of the miraculous intervention of a deity, but that the people longed for and called out for freedom. from Exodus 2:23. The Israelites were still groaning under the bondage, and their cry for help from bondage rose up to God. How does a journey to freedom begin? It begins with a cry for help, an anguished plea to have our burdens lifted. The first step to freedom is to see the need and to call it out. I'd like you to take a moment to meditate on the ways that people today are not free. If you're comfortable sharing, whisper, speak, or even softly shout your truth into our congregational space. Thank you for that. So many feminist Seders include a cup for Miriam, Moses' older sister, early on in the Seder. This is my cup to Miriam, which is kind of a champagne glass, which I think is appropriate for Miriam. Miriam's cup is filled with the Mayim Hayim, living waters from Miriam's well. The well is said to have divine powers to heal and renew. It was the source of transformation for people seeking to leave slavery behind them and form a new identity. It is also a reminder that we need all people, male and female and non-binary, Jew and non-Jew, to heal the world, to free ourselves from slavery. We are starting on a journey. May we be delivered and sustained and transformed on our journey. May the cup of Miriam nourish us and give us inspiration as we perform the Seder. Zat kas Miriam, kas Mayim Hayim Zekir, let Ziat Mitzrayim. This is the cup of Miriam, the cup of living waters. Let us remember the exodus from Egypt. These are the living waters, God's gift to Miriam, which gave new life to Israel as we struggle with ourselves in the wilderness. Let it give us new life as we struggle in the wilderness. Blessed are you, Mayim Hayim, who brings us from the narrows into the wilderness, sustains us with endless possibilities, and enables us to reach a new place. The second step to freedom is to collect allies and to find ways to sustain our momentum. I'd like you to take a moment to think about who can help us in our struggles for freedom, and to consider what you need to do to be fully present, to sustain yourself in the wilderness. And if you're comfortable, please speak your truth, whisper it, speak it, or even softly shout it out into our space. Thank y'all. One of the rituals of the Seder is the karpas, where we dip greens into salt water and bless them and then eat them. I will tell you, this is one of my least favorite moments. I do not like eating parsley that's been dipped in salt water. Long before the struggle upward begins, there is a tremor in the seed, self-protecting cracks. Roots reach down and grab hold. The seed swells and tender shoots push up towards the light. This is karpas, spring awakening growth, a force so tough it can break stone. Why do we dip karpas in salt water? To remind us that tears stop, spring comes. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hadamah. Let us bless the source of life that brings forth the fruit of the earth. I'm going to eat it. I need some of Miriam's cup. Woo. A poem from Emily Dickinson. Hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. The third step to freedom is to acknowledge our sorrows, but to alchemize them into actions. Hope is a discipline. We cry and rage, but we remember the possibility of spring, of renewal, of new life, and then we move. Take a moment to reflect on your grief and anger about our often unjust world, and then consider how those feelings capture the seeds of change. Let's take a moment to think. If you're comfortable sharing, whisper, speak, or even softly shout some of your truth into our congregational space. Now we'll come to what is perhaps my most favorite part of the Seder, though it's one of the most difficult, which is about the 10 plagues. Now you will remember when I talked about Purim a few weeks ago, Purim is a holiday about being happy that your enemies are vanquished. But Pesach, Passover, asks us to actually mourn our enemies. From Deuteronomy 26:6, the Egyptians gave us a bad name and mistreated us. They imposed hard labor on us. From Genesis 16:6, Sarah mistreated Hagar. Why does the Torah use the same word for mistreatment of the Israelites by the Egyptians as it uses for the mistreatment of Hagar, the maidservant, by Sarah? Lest you think you, as an Israelite, have not Pharaoh in you. Remember that even your righteous foremother treated Hagar the Egyptian as the Egyptians treated our ancestors. From the Babylonian Talmud. After the Red Sea washed over the Egyptians, the angels started to sing. God cried out, "How can you sing? My children, those I created with my own hands, are drowning in the sea." So with each plague, we take a drop of wine from our glasses to lessen our joy. Blood, frogs, lice, beasts, cattle disease, boils, hail, locusts, darkness, slaying of the firstborn. The fourth step towards freedom is particularly tricky. We must confront the ways that we are the enslavers, the ones who cause harm, and we are also called to mourn our enemies, those who harm, who may be harmed as we struggle towards freedom. This may also allow us to mourn the ways that we have been the enemy. Take a moment to reflect on how you are the enslaver, the one causing harm. Take a moment to reflect on how you can make space in your hearts, your enemies, those causing harm. If you're comfortable sharing, whisper, speak, or even softly shout some of your truth into our congregational space. Self-righteous anger. Thank you. Now I'd like to call Rick Buncher up, who's going to tell you a bit about Elijah's cup. We have a dual-purpose cup. And a little bit about the song Eliyahu Hanavi, which we'll sing together as part of the closing. All right, do you want this mic?
So it's good to be back in front of everyone. As you know, I've been with the Shabbaton, so I've been busy. Elijah the prophet. Elijah the prophet was regarded by many Jews as a Superman, if you will, one of the superheroes. And in the actual biblical story, those who have not read that, I really urge you to look into it, the poetry and the drama. But in the story, King Ahab, the king of Israel, Achav, that's his actual name, Achav, falls for Jezebel, the old Jezebel, and she utilizes her seduction over him to bring in the pagan priests and introduce the pagan religion to Israel. And essentially, Elijah almost single-handedly meets the pagan religion in a showdown, a major showdown, and expels them from the land of Egypt, of Israel. So he's regarded as a superhero. In the Passover service, it's very interesting what the true story is. Those of you who are familiar with the Passover service know that there's a certain point in the middle of the Seder, of the service, where they send the youngest child to open up a door, and they have a cup of wine waiting for Elijah. And he goes from house to house taking a sip of wine. They invite in their superhero, the coming of the Messiah. But there's an actual real reason why they instituted this in the Passover service. Unfortunately, over the years, especially going back to medieval times, in the anti-Semitism, they accused the Jews of murdering Christian children and using their blood to make matzah. So the sages in their wisdom went, hey, you know, here's an opportunity to leave the doors open to our homes during the Seder thing, and everyone will see that we're not out there murdering Christian children. And that's the real reason why Elijah the prophet's the cup for Eliyahu Hanavi, but also there's a good reason for it. And in this chaotic world, this 3D world of hate, there's always hope among not just Jews, but all people, for a coming redemption to this world. And so the song Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the Prophet. Sheila, would you like to come up and join me, or? Do you have the words, the translations?
We're going to sing it together.
Okay.
We're just going to
All
sing
right.
it first so we hear it once.
All right, I'll sing it. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimhaira v'yamenu, Yahavo Eleinu, Imoshiach ben David, Imoshiach ben David. That's what's known in Hebrew as a nigun, a repeating musical phrase.
Thank you, Rick. Our fifth step to freedom is to make sure that once we have freedom, we open the doors to others. We need to make space at our tables, and we need to remember our hard history. Take a moment to reflect on how you can open the door for others, to make space at your table for others, and how you can hold our sometimes hard history. If you're comfortable sharing, whisper, speak, even softly shout some of your truth into our congregational space. With love at the center, I say Zaman Cheruteinu. This is the season of our freedom. We've invited you to take steps towards freedom. Imla bavi asi ha. Imla bavi asi ha. Imla bavi asi ha. Vayikapes ruhi. Hearts meditated on what it means to be free, and with your spirits searched for what we all can do to free ourselves and each other. And now, please join us in body and spirit as you are willing and able to sing hymn number 220 in our gray hymnal, Bring Out the Festal Bread. We will sing verses 1, 4, and 5.
Stephen, if you'll come forward to extinguish the chalice flame. And please recite with me our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Rick, if you'll come back up. Hello? Hello? Is it here? It's on. Hello? All right, we're going to have to do it here. Let me turn this off. Tech difficulties are always fun. Let us invite Elijah into our space. Let us invite freedom into our hearts. Please sing with us the first part of Eliyahu Hanavi.
Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi.
This is adapted from the Nirtzah, which is the last part of the Seder from the New American Haggadah. Here concludes today's service. Just as we were fortunate enough to conduct this service, so may we be fortunate enough to do it again. Pure One who dwells on high, raise up a community, a people beyond counting. May you soon guide all people on to the promised land with songs of praise. Next year, may we all be free.
And a happy holiday in whatever way you celebrate it for the spring.